Hi, everybody. I'm coming on live to get started. If you are new to our community, my name is Nancy Porteous, and I am the co-founder of your Intuitive Oil community that I host with several of our friends. And I am working on this spring project, this spring education. Now I'm feeling a little funky because I was expecting my camera to rotate to do this video, and it's choosing not to. So I am going to bring Sheryl Bergie in with me. She's one of our team members who is going to chat with me, and we're going to share with you about emotional cleansing. So looking forward to Sheryl coming in and our thoughts and our findings about how to work towards your emotional cleansing. There's Sheryl. How you doing, Sheryl?
Good.
Good. It looks like you've got your video sideways. And funny technical piece. Either way, I haven't been able to get mine to flip.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if you're appearing as a little piece beside me, but we'll figure this out.
Well,
you know what? It's lovely
fine.
to have you around. If you rotate your camera, rotate your phone so that you and I have our heads up the same way.
This way.
There we go. I think that'll do it.
Okay.
Great. Nice to have you in.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sheryl. I was just introducing myself and saying that we work together as a team, and that's all based on building these lives of growth and vibrancy together, that we've both discovered that essential oils are a tool that work for us.
Exactly.
And I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself as well.
Okay, well, my name is Sheryl Bergie, and I've been a dōTERRA wellness advocate for about a year and a half now. I'm really getting to enjoy the benefits of using my oils. One of the biggest benefits I think I've found is the benefits from the oils with my allergies. My seasonal allergies are non-existent. I no longer need to do allergy shots. I live with animals. I'm not sneezing all the time. So I do get a lot of benefits out of using the oils, along with the LLV also.
Excellent.
Yes.
That's something you and I both share.
Yeah.
You know, we had planned to start our conversation talking about what does spring feel like. You know, we've chosen that model to gather each season and do some learning together. But you and I both share that seasonal allergy piece, and what a shift it's been for us. It's been incredible, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's some of that physical cleansing that Sherry and Sheryl were talking about last night. You know, you're cleaning your home and getting. I really find that as we get all of those layers of stimulants to our body cleaned out, that I think each of those small pieces makes a big difference in what we do, and how we get to live. And when we're putting together our notes and thinking about what spring feels like, one of the things that came to my mind were those rainy days that in the past, and I don't know if it was the same for you, Sheryl, but in the past, rainy days were so hard for me because they stirred up, they brought the mold up, and that's what I was allergic to, and I would I remember a moment thinking on a rainy day, oh, I just have to go to a mall where there's no, nothing online. And if there are a few of you who might be watching who are a bit familiar with me, and I'm not a mall kind of girl, and that was a pretty foreign concept to me. But that was what I was willing to do to get away from the mold. But spring is new for me, and that feeling of spring, that feeling of a rainy day, has a whole new feeling for me, where we're cleaning out, we're washing the dust and the dirt of the winter gone by, and it's softening the earth. I love getting out. I'll actually go out in a rainy day now with my trowel, and I'll dig around and I'll get it going. I think the rain washes and opens up the earth for us so that we can start getting ready to do all this wonderfulness. And I know you're going to say something towards the gardening and what that's like for you. Sheryl, what's spring like for you?
Well, it's my favorite time of the year. It brings new beginnings for me. I find when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I look out my window and I notice that the climate's changing and the snow's melting, and you can tell that the weather is getting warmer. I'm almost close to seeing maybe hopefully some buds coming out on the trees, but not quite. But yeah, so then I look at the garden and I start to plan inside my head, what I'm going to do. So every year I go through the emotions of wanting to do something new, something bigger, something better than I did last year. I need to decide what is going into the garden. I need to figure out how I'm going to organize the layout. Previously, I've done squares, I've done rows, I've done boxes.
Yeah.
I've done them all.
Yeah, you're a gardener.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then the real work comes in. I need to pull out the old weeds, the roots, all the dead vegetation. And then I need to replant the new seeds. And then I get to watch them grow and progress.
Oh, Sheryl, when you said that, I got my chills. That work is so worth it.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes we have a connotation that work has to be hard, work has to be arduous, and has to have, difficulty. But the way you describe it, the way you talk about it, and you come to that moment of saying, and then I get to plant the seeds.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't want that job?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can feel your joy. Yeah. And I think that's what spring is.
Yeah.
That it's a time where you step forward into optimism, and you start to map out what's possible, and that comes in our emotional space as well. Where we're starting to see new beginnings, we're starting to see, and we'll talk a little bit through our conversation about that analogy that you're giving of pulling out the weeds and cleaning out the roots and getting the earth ready for
wanting to do something different, something new, maybe, like something you may have done last year. That
right. And look at you smile. There's emotion. It's comes from a heart place. Like you're organized around it. You have lots of planning, but it comes from a heart place.
Yeah, exactly. So that leads me to the next point is, in the end, you don't need to buy a book on how to garden, because we're all farmers inside, and you just really need to listen to your inside, your intuitive voice, I guess you could say, and follow. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm going to do this time, because I know it's just going to flow. It will just flow.
Oh, I love hearing you talk about that, because when you and I talked about your book, you're reminding me now of our conversation, and you're done with that book. It didn't work for you.
No, it was.
And that happens a lot in our emotional life, where we see things happen in our communities or our social groups or in our families, and we think we should feel a certain way, or we should do something to live our emotional life a certain way. But ultimately, it's that intuitive voice. You said it. I guess you could say it. Certainly say it. That's your intuitive voice. And where there is an internal wisdom to us. And I love that, the way you've said it, that there's a gardener in all of us.
Yeah.
Is that your phrase? All of us are a gardener deep down.
Yeah.
And I mean, we needed to survive deep down.
Yeah.
Several, lives past, but I think that stays with us. You brought that through beautifully. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we wanted to share some oils with that can be supportive to this emotional cleansing time. And we've thought about two oils, and you're going to talk to us about cypress.
Cypress, yeah.
Yeah. What have you found about cypress?
So cypress is lively, clean, and energizing. There's cypress.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes from the branches of the tall evergreen tree. It has a fresh, clean aroma, and it smells like new evergreen trees. And I can't get enough of it now.
Oh, really?
It's very calming. And it just brings me, I love tree oils. I think I just love the oils that smell like the nature and
yeah. I remember Sheryl saying it well in the winter series that using our oils is bringing the plants indoors, bringing the outdoors in to be a part of what we do.
Yeah. So cypress, it blends well with citrus oils, like bergamot, lime, and lemon. You would do that for your energizing effect that cypress has, or it blends well with lavender, and that is the calming part of the cypress, because it has a calming yet energizing effect that I've noticed. Yeah.
Very nice. And that would be when we get into different emotional experiences that sometimes we do just want to calm into those experiences or bring them to a place where we can observe them and live them a little more comfortably. Sometimes it's exciting to get up and invigorated. Did you say, I think in the beginning, did you say it's the oil of invigoration or one of those?
It has a grounding yet stimulating effect on the emotions. I've read it that it makes it popular to diffuse during transition and loss. Out of the book of the emotions, they call it the oil of motion and flow.
That's the name I was looking for. Yeah. Motion and flow.
Yeah, it works on the heart and the mind. It says it creates flexibility. I also read that it teaches the soul how to let go of the past by moving on with the flow of life.
That's spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah.
Right?
A day.
Is that you're pulling at the... Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pull out your roots and get the earth ready. Oh, that's a great connection.
Yeah. So, and cypress also helps with emotional balance.
Do you see that?
Yeah. So some of the uses I'll go through quickly. You can use it topically from stalled to progressing feeling. You can do a cup inhale in your hands for a calming but energizing effect. It's kind of
That's that invigoration.
You can diffuse it with lime essential oil for another invigorating scent. You can apply 2 to 3 drops before gardening to promote vitality and energy. And I will give this a try when I do my gardening in a couple weeks and let you know how it goes.
Yeah. And I would bet there's a few more people who are going to be gardening. It's a great suggestion, something they could try.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty well all I could dig up for cypress.
Listen to you. Your gardener is in you. I love it. And that cypress coming from those evergreen trees, it's like having a Christmas tree. It's another one of those. Yeah. So uplifting and refreshing. It is. Nice. And the oil that I wanted to share with you is a companion oil. It's the lime oil that you mentioned there, where you have cypress being the oil of motion and flow, and the lime is the oil of zest of life. So it's this uplifting companion where you're getting your invigoration moving, and on that really positive note where you're in that thinking path that, you know, life is grand, and the opportunities are there. I think, and when we're looking at emotional cleansing, we're in our emotional well-being from that heart-centered space. When we can see the possibilities, when we can see the light and the growth that is the growth potential in what we're doing and what we're living and what we're fielding from other people and what we're experiencing in connection with our community, when we can see the opportunity, the growth is there and it will happen. And you and I had a good talk about how this gardening analogy works really well, because we're going to loosen things out. We're going to clean off the dirt and dust of the winter. Like you said, pull out the roots and move it around. And sometimes we're going to pull up some real dirt, some gunk, right? and this optimism is a way to pull yourself into that light space, that emotional space that believes in love and is working from the space of love and that zest for life that Lyme gives you. And when those difficult emotions come up, find a way to, like, I can imagine you pulling the roots out and deciding, well, what the heck do I do with this? and if that happens in an emotional space for you, the spring is a good time to be aware of your toolkit. Where, you know, is you just continue outside and keep, is it cathartic for you to do that gardening? Does it help you? Is it important for you to connect out with your journal, or talking with a friend, or connecting even with someone like a social worker, or you know, a supportive, nurturing therapist of any kind? All of those, you know, being conscious that you have that toolkit and reaching out when you need help. You know, I bet if you were building a giant garden, you probably wouldn't do it on your own, because there'd be a lot to work through there. And sometimes our emotions we come to a similar space with our emotions, where it can be something where you feel like you're ready to work it out, and it's not something you have to do alone. So when we're looking at the lime oil, this lime could really get you going, because you're going to get that motion and flow going with cypress and the lime. From the emotions book tells us that the lime instills courage and cheer in the heart. So that's that fortitude and that optimism, where you're going to come out, and it makes room for light and joy, but revitalizing the heart space. This is a cleansing of the heart. Lime is a cleansing, or a cleanser for the heart, and it helps you to dig up tough emotions and to find balance between the heart experience, the emotional piece, and the mind, because you're going to be thinking that through. And you spoke to it in your gardening analogy that, you know, you will make, before you do all the digging, you will make plans. You'll sort it, you'll organize it, and you have intentions about the seeds that you want to plant.
Yes.
And so there's lots of invigoration going on in spring. And the lime can help you to find that balance between the emotional piece and the thinking piece, the mind piece. So when you're using your lime, you can use it in all of the three modalities. You can use it aromatically, certainly in a diffuser. Like Sheryl, you were saying, it does partner well with the cypress, so it makes a great diffusing, and even just the two of them together.
It smelled wonderful the other day when I did it.
Did you put them together?
I did put them together the other day. It smelled wonderful. Yeah.
Very uplifting, and all the things that we're saying. And so I'll share a few. I'll post a few diffuser blends that I found with these two in it. So you have the cypress and the lime, and one of them mentions using peppermint, and another one mentions bringing in the lemongrass and the lemon oil from last night. So I thought, isn't that clever?
That'll work.
You know, lots of cleansing, right?
Yeah.
Lots going on there. And when you want to use it topically, when you want to use lime topically, I think it would be great for a cup inhale. where you're putting the drops in your hand and rubbing your palms together and taking those deep breaths. And I'm particular to always remind people that 4 deep breaths is the oxygen, the volume that is needed to get our limbic system to switch from the fight or flight into the rest and digest. Yeah.
Okay.
And you think of it when you do it. I know, and I'm guilty of it all the time. I'll be like, yeah, okay, got it, I'm good.
Yeah.
Awesome, I'm all oiled up. But when I do take the time to do 4 good deep breaths, holy moly, it's like you've done a time warp, and you're calmer. And
I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 deep breaths. Kind of a neat one. Yeah. So if you're going to use it topically, I would start with the cup inhale, and then maybe rubbing it over your heart. Lime is also the oil. It is this heart cleansing. It is this vitality that it encourages, just like the cypress, and you mentioned that. So I would put it over your heart. If you're going to rub it on, use it topically. It's nice space to smell it as well as you wear it. Always remember, and Sheryl and Marissa mentioned these in the last 2 nights, that our citrus oils are those oils that create photosensitivity. Yeah. So not something to do as we get into the strong sun when you're gardening, or into the summer even. I wanted to mention one more piece about lime, that it can be used internally, and I have a habit of using it with my breakfast oatmeal. And it wasn't something I anticipated using. I wasn't one of those people who, I wasn't often drawn to like citrus flavored chocolate or anything like that, but I partnered it with cassia in my granola and my oatmeal. And when I looked up cassia is also an oil of courage. So those two, they work together really well. Nice. So if you want to use it internally, you can do that too. And we've come to that part of our conversation about, what do you do with all of these emotions? What do you do with all of this? You're gonna dig up that garden, you're gonna pull out those weeds, and you want to make space for the new seeds to grow. And what do we do with that? How do we do that emotionally? When we're cleansing, you think about have you had that moment yet, Sheryl, where you just need to clean out some things in the house? I've gotten into some of almost.
I sang getting there,
Yeah, I've been getting into spring cleaning. Our bedroom space is fairly wide, and so it means I stored stuff there through the winter, and I finally fed up with it and I want it out. And the emotional piece tends to be the same, where we can snuggle in the winter, we can do that curling up and resting and reflecting and pull our warm socks on and things. We sort of protect ourselves from the world a little bit.
Exactly.
And some of our emotions get kind of deep seated in us, or they find a spot and they kind of anchor in. So when we're moving that map around, we just want to make some space. Well, those emotions, we'll need to process those emotions a little bit. And when we're doing that, again, I spoke earlier about remembering you have your toolkit. Think about what your toolkit is for you and your processing. And I want to speak specifically to journaling. Journaling, as much as we don't want to spend our time inside, there will be that rainy day when you're just going to wait an hour or two till the rains pass. And it's so worth putting some pen to paper. And I'm going to share a link after our video about the idea of free journaling, where after some time of meditation, with no intention and no specific question at all, start to write. Simply put the pen to paper, start to write. And it's really interesting. I have experienced it a few times, and it's really interesting to see what comes out. When I experience it, it usually starts with a word or two. I'll do some word association, and then all of a sudden that's a sentence. And then I just going, and there's all these ideas coming out. It doesn't have to be coherent. It doesn't have to be tidy. It doesn't have to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And that's the elementary school teacher speaking. It doesn't have to be. It's not going to be marked by anybody. But that free journaling gives your heart that outlet to say, I don't need this anymore. Get it somewhere else. We don't need to hold it inside. Get it somewhere else. You can observe it when it's on paper. That 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 action. I think I'm going to call it an action where you're living your emotions. You're doing the cleansing, and in this example, you get those emotions onto paper, and then just step aside and read them from an observational perspective to say, huh, isn't that interesting? Huh, I didn't expect that. Or, what do you know? That's kind of neat where that's going. And at that point, all of those emotions are out of you, and you can choose what to do with them. Our friend Katie Wilkin has a beautiful ritual that she does in the full moon. I think it's the new moon, actually. One day I'll check, and I'll be sure to post a comment later. But she will write down some of these kinds of things, and then she will tear the paper and take it into the bath with her and let the bath wash the words away. It's powerful. Because you don't have to hold on to those. You don't have to keep an inventory. You're not going to keep all those weeds you pull out of the garden, right? And they were something that existed with you at one point, and you've held pieces of it, and if it comes out that way into a journal, you don't have to hold it anymore. And that's that optimism, that potential of spring and making room for something new. Yeah. For you, it's going to be gardening. And is your garden, is it flowers? Is it food?
Vegetables.
Is it vegetables?
And I'm going to try a couple of fruits. I do have couple of strawberry plants that somebody told me would never grow the first year. And I was overrun with strawberries with just 2 strawberry plants. Oh. Yeah. So the rest of it will be vegetables. Wow. And I'm thinking about another fruit, but I just haven't got that far yet. But it's wonderful to watch everything in the garden just start from really small. Then you start getting excited, and you're going, "There's my beans, and there's my potatoes." And,
You watch them.
Yeah, I take pictures of them and post them on Facebook.
Oh, that's wonderful.
This is how it's going now.
Well, it's evidence, right? Yeah. It confirms your heartfelt belief that it's possible. Right? It's possible that you could feed your family.
Yeah, it's quite easy too. Once it's in and going, it's the summer. Just you just watch it, enjoy it, and feed off of it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad that I know you now. We can celebrate this fun together.
So if I get overrun with little cherry tomatoes or beans, I can hand them over.
Absolutely. I'm totally in.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, Sheryl, I think that's a beautiful way to finish up our video, with that optimism, that excitement, and that's what spring is. And you've brought that beautiful analogy to what we're doing, and to take it to that emotional space as well, that emotional growth and cleansing and optimism is so exciting.
It is exciting.
It's so exciting. It's so possible.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, Nicole and Sheryl are going to take us into. Oh, no, sorry, not Nicole and Sheryl. Nicole and Judy are going to take us into making plans. So setting those goals, like you were saying, planning out the garden and choosing the seeds, choosing the plants, like the strawberries that are prolific, and putting that down to paper so that it can be part of your pathway that you walk. Yeah. So that's tomorrow.
Yep. Well, nice. I'll be watching.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Heather, I do see your comment. It's great to have you with us. You're thinking about lime and lemon and ginger in your water. Great choices. Beautiful cleansing. You are well on your way in this season of cleansing and spring cleaning and opening up for all that is possible. So nice to have you with us. And Sheryl, thanks so much for
thank you,
chatting
Nancy.
Yeah.
And thank you for that
great.
combination, Heather. I'm going to try that in my water tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
That's a good combination.
It is. I really like ginger. Yummy. Yeah. All right. That's it for us for tonight.
All righty.
And I'll finish us off. Good night, Sheryl.
Good night.